Hi guys, welcome back on the channel. Today's video is a requested video from quite a substantial number of friends of the channel regarding Barons War and the 100 Years War and comparison between the two wars in a way of miniatures, but also what we can use from Barons War and to the 100 Years War. Vice versa, obviously, is not possible. Now we have to understand that these miniatures here are early Barons War and late 100 Years War. I don't think there would be a difference if I use my Claymore castings, that's earlier part of the 100 Years War, because I think the specific miniatures that can be used from Barons War are approximately the same, even if I use my miniatures from the early part of the 100 Years War, let's say up to Crécy or Poitiers. So let's have a quick look and see what obviously we cannot use, and then go afterwards in the back and see what we can use. So let's focus a little bit here. We have a foot knight or a foot man at arms from Perry, Footsore Miniatures, you know, a knight, a foot knight, bannerman, and two mounted knights from the Barons War and from the 100 Years War. Obviously, it's impossible to use the Barons War and the 100 Years War. It's totally different helms, totally different weapons, totally different setup in general. If we put them also like this, if we put them like this, you will see that the difference are huge regarding armor, regarding everything there. It is impossible to use miniatures like this in the 100 Years War. The even poorer knights would not have this is obsolete. They would probably have some bits and pieces of plate. Obviously they can use chainmail, but they will have some bits and pieces of plate. Obviously the shield won't be the same, the armor of the horse, the helms, a big difference. Weapon style obviously is different. So generally speaking, knights from the Barons War cannot be used for the 100 Years War. The same concept applies here as well. You can see that the knight, the English foot knight, man at arms, and the Barons War foot knight are totally different, obviously obsolete. These are all obsolete, and they cannot be used. So yeah, obviously it would be a huge difference, a huge historical inaccuracy if you could use any of these for these to put them in units. It's not going to be possible. Again, lower ranking troops, we will discuss it, but knights will not have anything like this, and these helms have been obsolete. You know, anyone could have found helms in the battlefield that were more up to date, so these miniatures cannot be used. So let's go here and see what it can be used, in my opinion. And just to remember, these are lower ranking troops. In the lower ranking troops, I think nothing really changed. I think many miniatures from the Barons War can be used in the 100 Years War. Obviously, there would be some minor differences regarding bits of plate or gabensums that would make more common in the later part. And for example, archers having just leather padded jackets. But as you can see here, and let me point it out, this longbowman, you see there is not a big difference. Forget the size, obviously, the different miniatures. There's not a very big difference. These guys could have been outlaws in the 100 Years War or lesser troops. The same here, he could be an archer. Not all archers, as in Perry miniatures, had gabensums. Again here, let's see the crossbowmen. Here the crossbows, yeah, obviously the crossbow is better, but again, a crossbowman, a militia crossbowman could have this. You see also a gabensum or a leather padded jacket with his crossbow, with his helm, and this could be, you know, this a little bit more well armored, could be a Genoese crossbowman. So I have a number of archers and crossbowmen that I think that can be very easily used in a situation where, let's say, for example, an English chevauché, small party, foraging party, is attacking a village, and you have the militia of the village or of the small town attacking. Obviously, most of them would have been armored like this. They are not a tactical army, they're not a professional army. They are probably good warriors, but they could have been very easily one of the Barons War Footsore miniatures. Very easily, I believe that they can be used. You can utilize them if you have, like me, armies for the 100 Years War and for the Barons War. So you see now, if you move a bit closer and a bit clearer with this camera, that although the miniatures are from a different era. I don't think they affect at all the game. You can have very easily these guys being Barons War and these guys being 100 Years War all together in one army. They are depicted perfectly. I don't find any problem for using these miniatures at all. I think zooming in makes it well, it's zooming before, but a little bit clearer that there is no issue, as you can see, guys. So if we put the monk in the back, we'll talk about it in a few minutes, and check these guys out. Obviously they can be used. Obviously levy troops, peasant troops were exactly the same during the 100 Years War, during the Barons War, during any wars. I can imagine even during the Wars of the Roses were exactly the same. I think they can be used very easily on their own or part of a better militia troop. These are militia, okay? These are lower, could be heavy infantry, but let's say they're low-ranking troops. You can have among their ranks, some people who were a little bit less armored, peasants who joined the battlefield, priest also, we'll talk about him after in the future. It doesn't really affect how I look the game. I think it looks perfectly, but on their own also, if you want to use you have a battle for a village, and you want to use your locals, your peasant levies fighting, the Footsore miniatures are perfect. They have a great variety, and they provide a lot of different poses that give a nice look to your armies. Again, if you go closer and see them, I think they look very, very good. Altogether, it doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't really bother me at all. The way they look, very, very, very convincing and applicable historically that they're part of the 100 Years War. Now let's talk about the priests. Obviously the priests didn't change. They were the same. I think can be used as part of a larger group that you can have him just to give you some variety. And it looks nice to have a priest. The priests were among the fighting, not fighting but supporting. So you can have them, you can use them. You can use them part of a militia group if there's no actually units that have priests. But I think priests can be used for the 100 Years War. There is nothing different for the priests from the Barons War. And last but not least, let's compare this bishop's miniature with this late 100 Years War. Not late, it's approximately Agincourt. So why I showed you this? Because this is from Legio Historia, I think, North Crusade miniatures. He's an in-between. I think obviously this bishop could be very easily be part of the early 100 Years War, because you see he has partial plate and his helm is a little bit different. So, but even here, even in this comparison, a bishop could be used. I'm going to use this bishop to the later part of the 100 Years War. I think this bishop suits perfectly with my Claymore castings. It's approximately the same period. You see the greaves, you see the knee pads, all are in plate. And at the same time, I don't think in the eye it doesn't affect that much that he is a little bit obviously less armored than the mounted knight, the French mounted knight of the Perry. So I think this will be used in my campaign. He will be one of the commanders. I think it doesn't really bother me at all. I think they look good together. I don't think there is a major difference. So I would use him, as you can see now from the close-ups. He would be suited better for the earlier part of the 100 Years War with the partial plate, but it doesn't bother me. It doesn't really bother me to use him for 1400s or late 14th century. I think it works, and it will spice up again. Having a bishop there as a commander, it's not that different from the typical Barons War commanders. So this is for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this comparison. I hope I gave you some ideas if you have Barons War miniatures, which ones you can use. Obviously, this decision for you and what suits you on the table and what you like. But we would like not to put, our historical miniatures one beside the other. We are all war gamers. We're a little bit crazy. We follow historical accuracy. So I think, in a nutshell, that lower-ranking troops, archers, crossbowmen, peasant levies, monks can be very easily used in the 100 Years War. from the Barons War. Again, we're talking about a big difference here because we're talking about the latter part, not of the latter part, but high 100 Years War. Let's say the end of 13th, 14th century, end of 14th century, beginning of 15th, and these are basically early First Barons War. Second Barons War probably will be the bishop. So I think they can be used, except obviously the heavily armored men-at-arms and the foot knights of the period, that the armors are totally different, and the concept and the helms. But I think low-ranking troops can be used very easily for militia, for peasants. I think the bishop, I wouldn't have a problem using him. I think you can spice up your games and add some more miniatures with different poses and action poses that Footsore can provide into your Claymore or Perry or whatever armies you have. Obviously vice versa is not possible, and I think this I will do the same thing in a campaign I'm preparing. I've said this long time with the preparing campaign, but this time it's coming very soon. So again, thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a great end of the week and a brilliant weekend. We're going to talk again soon. Bye bye.